you better lock in and buckle up, bucko! Because you're in for another creepy and scary TikTok reaction video. If you haven't already, please slap that like button because we're getting ready to dive into some disturbing, creepy, mind-altering videos. And be careful, with these creepy and scary TikToks, they might make you rethink your entire reality. These are strictly for entertainment purposes only. Do your own research on everything. Let's go. These are crazy. I don't know if they're real or not. That's a crazy looking sphinx. So many pyramids, I can't tell if it's generated or not.
Did you know that a cat's purr has the potential to kill cancer cells? Now, if you didn't know this, a cat's purr ranges from about 20 to 140 hertz frequency, and these frequencies can cure and help many ailments in the body. Now, what's super interesting is scientists have confirmed that 111 hertz does in fact kill cancer cells. So it's not that far-fetched to think that a cat's purr can kill cancer cells as well. And cats certainly can sense when someone needs healing energy. And many women talk about when it's that time of the month, their cat will come around, lay on their stomach, purr, and it will heal their cramps. And if you guys have experience with this, let us know in the comments down below. I've had many mystical experiences with these creatures, and whenever I would be down or feeling out or my stomach is sore or anything, the cats would always come around and start purring and I would feel better. Now, this is just one of many reasons of why the ancient Egyptians always kept cats super close to them. First of all, they knew the healing powers that these animals possessed. And secondly, they knew that cats were the protectors of the spiritual realm. They quite literally protect. Did you know that a cat's purr has the...
I believe that a cat's purr can help you. I definitely believe that.
Non-human biologics.
Did you know that
the UFO hearing's now infamous claim of non-human biologics may just be the next step in a pretty frightening plan? I'm warning you, this is just a nut job theory, one that really tickles your brain, which is my specialty. Doesn't necessarily mean it's 100% proven false, as we've seen a lot of theories turn true in the last couple of years, but it also doesn't mean it's true either. Just keep an open mind and question everything you see happening around you. Project Bluebeam was pitched by journalist Serge Manasse back in 1994, which outlines the exact plan of creating a one-world government, the New World Order. In 1996, just 2 years after this was revealed to the public, Serge was taken in and spent a night in jail for questioning. Very next day, he was found dead in his apartment. He uncovered this during the Cold War, and the basic premise here is establishing a new religion on Earth that everyone converts to. Definitely not an easy task, so how would they do it? These right here are the 4 stages of Project Bluebeam, keeping in mind that it was published in 1994 and written even years before that. Stage 1 is the breakdown of conventional knowledge, starting with artificial earthquakes induced in key areas all around the world. The purpose of these will be to uncover new archaeological findings that shows our current religions have been misunderstood for years. Sounds pretty ridiculous, but just have a look at what countries have skyrocketed in earthquakes in the past year. Turkey, Syria, and even Lebanon, which just so happened to be where ancient Mesopotamia, one of our oldest known civilizations, originated. If there ever was a spot ripe for history-altering archaeological discoveries, these would be it. Also part of this stage would be replacing all the world's money with a single electronic currency. Sound familiar? Cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin have pushed governments into support for creating their own central bank digital currencies, just like the book says, and a reminder that it was written in the early 90s. Stage 2, 3D holograms will be projected into the sky with satellites to fake the presence of some new greater being. I'll admit this one's quite a stretch, but just think about all the strange sightings we've been seeing in the sky lately. And nowadays, using augmented reality, AI, and the huge network of satellites above us, it would technically be more possible than ever. Part of this stage also involves faking
What satellites?
news stories for propaganda, which again, with deep fakes and AI voice changing technology, is now totally possible. All of this to be distributed to the masses directly, circumventing traditional news outlets, i.e. social media, using this to denounce the old religions of the world and blaming them for all the wars of our past, which would be a pretty easy sell if I'm being honest. Now, for the people that don't get got by now, there will be stage 3. mind control. Using microwaves, the same signal that is emitted out of our pockets every single day. Cell phones. Barely anyone had cell phones in the 90s. Now you're almost considered weird if you don't have one. According to the book, microwaves will be used to implant ideas directly into our heads, similar to Inception. Sounds crazy at first, but they've already technically been doing this for years with our smartphones. Addicting apps like this one, instant access to information, big tech censorship showing us only the news they want us to see, proved to be one of the most effective methods of mind control ever. All using microwave signals from our phones, just like Bluebeam suggested back in 1994. The CIA even declassified projects like MKUltra that use drugs to brainwash and control people. More recently, they declassified the gateway process, essentially confirming that you can unlock hidden powers of the mind, but I'll tell you all about that in another video. Technologies like Neuralink also point in the same direction, so it may not be as far-fetched as you think. Stage 4 is the one that's really gonna trip you out, so buckle up, Johnny boy. An artificial crisis will be created that instills fear and people demand more government control. I mean, it's a good thing we didn't just go through a global pandemic. That's almost exactly what this describes, because then I'd be concerned. Because no, the ultimate crisis that this book outlines is faking an alien invasion. The Pentagon UFO declassifications of 2020, followed by the many spotted flying all around the world in the beginning of 2023, to now the recent UFO hearings in which the recovery of non-human biologics is confirmed, with discussions of potential multi-dimensional nature. Are we seeing Bluebeam unfold before our very eyes, or are we just reading into things too much? In the book, the ultimate goal of this crazy crackpot theory is to abolish religion, dissolve the traditional nuclear family, destroy patriotism to your own country, and eliminate free thinking. I'm gonna stop right there, and I'm gonna leave it up to you to ask yourself, do you see this happening, or are we reaching here? The UFO hearings now infamous claim.
Well, if we take everything he just said into consideration, we just seen the Lil Uzi Vert spaceship. New Mexico just came out last year talking about they're releasing an alien, so I would say they're pretty much trying to fully initiate this agenda that they're speaking of. This is the one I was referring to. They released this one last year, but I see something else after this. Wait till you see what I'm talking about.
Y creo que hay una demostración clara de que nos encontramos ante ejemplares.
He says, I think there's a clear demonstration that we are dealing with a non-human species.
No humanos que no tienen relación con ninguna otra especie en nuestro mundo.
Alright guys, this is a new one. I haven't seen this one before, so you guys got to tell me your thoughts on this. It is in Spanish, but we have subtitles.
Acá tenemos los cuerpos, aquí está Santiago, aquí está Sebastián y acá tenemos la opinión del doctor Anicama una vez más, por favor, sobre, por ejemplo, esta cabeza acá hemos visto que parecería humana, pero también usted nota alguna otra característica.
La tomografía, ya con los cuerpos acá presentes, vemos que son cráneos un poco más alargados que lo que normalmente se ven en la tomografía. Probablemente son más grandes de la bóveda craneana con respecto a... hemos visto que es un niño aproximadamente de 5 años, según la dentición mixta que hemos encontrado, y que al cráneo facial de este espécimen. En el mayor...
Vamos a desplazar un poquito la camilla para que podamos acceder hacia allá para ver.
No, me gustaría, colega Ricardo, que vieras este segmento, que no ahorita no me he puesto los lentes, pero yo los he visto con lupa. Acá se ven las huellas digitales transversales, igual que en la momia amarilla. Las huellas digitales no se ve como de los humanos. Seguramente, pero...
It said it looks like they have human fingerprints. That's crazy.
En la foto se pueden ver nítidamente, ¿no? Son huellas digitales transversales, paralelas y transversales del longitudinal del dedo. Es una cosa única.
Sí, lo que me llama la atención es la longitud de los dedos, ¿no? que definitivamente sí es diferente pues a lo que los humanos pueden presentar. No son dedos muy alargados, tanto de los miembros inferiores.
Se podría decir, doctor, que este cuerpo, estos pies son muy extraños, no solamente porque son de 3 dedos, sino porque la mitad casi es planta y la otra mitad es dedo, ¿no? Prácticamente 50.
Sí, esa proporción es diferente.
No es anormal.
No, exactamente. Y con lo que a mí respecta, en la parte de cabeza y cuello, vemos pues la oblicuidad de los ojos, que es sumamente diferente, ¿no? Más o menos 45 grados de implantación en relación a la implantación del canto externo con el canto interno. Sumamente oblicuo.
Is this a real alien or is that some type of paper mache? Y'all let me know. Or it could be eyelashes. I'm not sure, y'all. Y'all gotta give me your thoughts below.
Y unas fosas nasales muy pequeñas, un poco anchas incluso, parecidas a los primates, podría decir. Exacto.
Si hemos encontrado ADN de 2 simios incorporados en el ADN de María, ¿por qué no podría tener una proporción similar? ¿No?
Seguramente cuando se le haga el curso de la secuenciación del paleogenético, nos va a sorprender también estos seres.
Bueno, yo creo que con esto esperemos haber cubierto la parte que nos corresponde aquí en Lima. Ha sido todo un despliegue técnico, profesional, y la verdad que estamos muy satisfechos desde aquí de poder haber aportado esto. Invitamos a los científicos del mundo, a los catedráticos, a los profesionales de distintas universidades, a que se interesen un poco más en conocer esto. No le hagan caso, lamentablemente, a mis colegas de la prensa que están siguiendo el guión del Ministerio de Cultura. No sé qué muñecos van a inventar ahora los del Ministerio de Cultura para tratar de compararlos con estos seres extraordinarios. Este es un hallazgo único en la historia y nos evidencia que hemos tenido convivencia con otras especies que no corresponden a la evolución humana, otras especies que nos van a hacer cambiar de paradigma, y por favor, simplemente busquen la información y la van a encontrar. Muchas gracias desde aquí. No sé si tienen alguna consulta. Regresamos la transmisión a la ciudad de Los Ángeles, en California. Estuvo con ustedes Joyce Mantilla desde Lima, Perú.
In Los Angeles finding these aliens. Let me know your thoughts below. I haven't seen this one before. I've seen the one I showed you previously, but this is new. Is it straight paper mache? Or is this like some type of mummified alien? Why is it in that position? Is that the way they found them inside their ships, maybe? I don't know.
Released to the public, this is only on the real photo of alien human breed. This is an Area 51 photo that was never released to the public. This is only on the dark web 1950s. Real photo.
Could this be what one looked like before the mummification?
Long before David Grush came forward, long before all of these whistleblowers came forward, long before all of these people you're seeing right now with the oversight committee, these pilots, Bob Lazar was talking about this. Bob Lazar was confirming this. Bob Lazar 100% believes in what he's saying, and I believe in what he's saying as well, and a lot of other people believe in what Bob Lazar is saying, because Bob Lazar has been saying this since the 80s.
It's really the pinnacle that there's another civilization in existence that's intelligent that we know about, and we actually have artifacts from them that can operate. So I mean, that's a big deal. But in my mind, there's a lot to deal with that. However, the science and the technology can change us dramatically. Can change the way the entire world operates, the economy, everything. So those stick out in my mind as being critically important.
And we have it.
Oh, we have them. You don't have to believe it, but we do.
And you've seen it.
I've seen it.
And you've touched it.
I've dismantled it.
He said, I dismantled it. Looks like this is in Roswell, New Mexico. They got aliens everywhere. A Dunkin' Donut, I believe. Look at the McDonald's. It's got a spaceship. Looks like a little cool place to go to. Hold on, did y'all see that Tartarian structure? They thought they could they thought they could get away with this one, but they got a Tartarian structure in New Mexico. Roswell. I bet you if you ever went there, you look at that, you'll say the exact same thing. They thought they can pull one over on us, but we caught them.
Alien, that live alien was named Eva, and he was transported to. They also found a live alien. That live alien was named Eva, and he was transported to. It was a male. Was transported to Los Alamos, where he lived out his life. He died in 1952. But during that time period that he was with us, he told us a plethora of information about what they have learned about the universe and what their technology is. Their technology is probably estimated to be about 50,000 years ahead of us. They also found a live alien. That live alien.
Dose.
You could say 50,000 years ahead of us or 3,000 years behind us that they don't tell us about.
New Mexico. Alien base below the mesa.
So supposedly there's an alien base underneath there. From over here in the Hickory Apache Nation in the Dulce.
Dulce, New Mexico. Alien.
It makes a little sense that it might be a base because look what that sign said. That said, do not do too much out here. So there might be an alien base out there for entertainment purposes only.
Public light was due to the efforts of a man. When this began to come to public light was due to the efforts of a man by the name of Paul Benowitz. Benowitz, who worked for a company called the Thunder Corporation, began in his investigations to be harassed by government agents, but also he began to get very unusual readouts on his computer. And Benowitz actually claims that he was in contact with some form of alien intelligence that was coming to him from a computer that claimed to be based inside the Dulce Archuleta Mesa. Benowitz had flown over the mesa and actually came up with a map of the various entrances for where the saucers could come and go from out of the mesa. Now, subsequent investigators have found two engineers who claim to have actually built the place in 1953. We interviewed 14 eyewitnesses who claimed that they went under hypnosis. These were women. A number of the women had little children as well who were also abducted along with them. But in this investigation, these 14 eyewitnesses who claimed to have been abducted claimed to have actually been inside the mesa. There's also a sort of legendary figure, a fellow who is called Thomas C. This fellow Thomas C. supposedly worked as a security guard inside the base and escaped in the late 1970s with a videotape that was 6 minutes of a security camera that basically ran back and forth over a large hall in which there were these ambionic sacs where there appeared to be actual aliens in the sacs. And
damn, we might be getting somewhere now, guys.
Unusual devices on the walls. So the explanation behind this was that in 1953, supposedly some sort of deal was struck between the United States government and this particular group of aliens. We don't know which bunch. Supposedly they're from Zeta Reticuli. And that in 53 we allowed them to have certain underground bases in which they could do certain types of genetic experimentation and energy experimentation in league with the U.S. military, and that in 1953 the Dulce Mesa was put together. That in 1979, a disagreement took place between the United States government and said aliens. The Dulce base reportedly was set up to be between 7 and 12 levels. That eyewitnesses have said or stated to us that the base was approximately about 450 feet down because they were taken inside elevators when the ships would land, when they would take the people that were being abducted in the back way. Usually the ships would come down the vents and come into a large hangar area, but a number of the abductees described being taken in a back way and down an elevator and then down some stairs. That this thing was supposedly 450 feet below ground and that it seemed to extend out with a power source at the center. When this disagreement occurred between the U.S. military and the aliens because the aliens had basically gotten farming rights to this planet in exchange for nothing more than a few Model Ts, in essence a couple of saucers that they gave us to take apart and figure out how they work and what have you. They apparently gave us the code to breaking the human genome, or the human RNA DNA structure, which then allowed us to be able to do all kinds of genetic engineering and crossbreeding human beings with animals and different types of animals, which was supposedly what was going on in concert with the Los Alamos Atomic Energy and Genetics Research Lab in Los Alamos, New Mexico. That when the disagreement occurred, the military insisted on certain types of weapons. The aliens themselves then said, no, we're not going to give you weapons, we'll give you the ships, but we're not going to give you the weapons. The military supposedly at the same time broke into a number of different underground levels, which the aliens had kept secure and to themselves and somewhat secret from their military partners. And then when they broke into these levels, they found the levels were just strewn with bodies of either misbegotten genetic experiments or human beings that they didn't want to put back and had bled dry and thrown down into this thrown down into these underground levels. The U.S. military then said to the aliens, get out of our bases, get off our planet. The aliens supposedly then said, oh yeah, make us. We then sent in a Delta Force team to try to get them out. 66 Delta Force members died. The scientists supposedly were then there. Now, let me tell you, as far as what we did as far as Dulce goes. Now, we wanted to come up with abject physical proof that an alien base actually existed. Well, how exactly do you do that? We figured out a way to actually ultrasound the Dulce Mesa. We took things up to the Mesa to see if we could find specifically a power source. So myself, Jim Delatoso, Joe Randazzo all went to the Dulce Archuleta Mesa. Now what we were looking for was electrical outputs, and we wanted to see how our sound or our sonic would interact with any sort of electrical outputs that were coming from inside the Mesa. But the actual blocks that you're about to see are the various areas where we placed transceivers that were hooked up into 9-volt batteries that we buried into the ground that were pulsing this sonic tone. Also, Dr. Delatoso found a way to run the sound through a synthesizer by running a number of tones up and down and then recording them on DAT tape. Right here he's showing the exact area of frequency as to how far out the ultrasounds went. Right here you can see the area of dispersion of what we were zeroing in on. So this area right in through here is the area that you can see that was ultrasounded through the test. Now remember, one of the things that we were searching for is we were searching for a source of electric or electromagnetic energy and a penumbra to that electromagnetic energy as well. A lot of the contactees and abductees had said, well, the abductees specifically had stated that they had witnessed a central power source inside the Mesa itself. The vertical lines that you see on the side are the rock faces, but you see that big red glow right in the center? That, folks, is an atomic reactor right in the middle. This atomic reactor is approximately, once again, 450 feet down. The structure itself is about 250 feet high. The green penumbra that you're seeing that runs from either side, which could have shown literally a tunnel or some sort of causeway or railroad system that runs lower to the left. The green flat areas that you are seeing would be indicative of levels or electricity that was being wired throughout a number of levels. So we discovered, in essence, an atomic pile underneath the Dulce Archuleta Mesa that was military standard, that seemed to have levels, that seemed to have a causeway or a railroad system running through the base, exactly like everybody said.
Dang, and I remember that story about that guy that he said he got in a confrontation with him and the beam, you know, hit a couple of his fingers. So I don't know. And if we go back a couple videos, this be the alien base that they're referring to that could be below it. Like if we go down 47 levels or something.
Underneath there, I'm over here in Hickory, Apache Nation in the Dulce.
That might be it. If we started digging there, we might run into an alien base. But my thing is, if they knew that the atomic reactors or whatever was there, if the alien base was really there, why not get a drill crew and just go in there and show us the real thing then? You know, instead of showing us these sonic projections, just take a picture of the alien technology and go inside it. Yeah, this is a crazy looking one. Alright, this one says a photo of 2 suspected aliens being at the Dulce base in New Mexico has fueled speculation about joint experiments on humans involving Greys and the U.S. military and reptilians. Philip Snyder, a former U.S. government engineer, claimed encountering a Grey in 1979, inadvertently sparking an intergalactic war. The photo is believed to be taken before this incident.
That UAP hearing pissed me off a lot because they said a lot of crazy things and didn't show us anything, so I started scouring the government files until I found kind of a description of aliens. So here you are. Now these files were prepared for President Eisenhower, but here's the gist. There was a UFO sighting over the Cascade Mountains in Washington. The media had not picked this kind of thing up before, even though it had been happening a lot. But they picked it up this time, and it caused near hysteria. The public's freaking out. We're gonna get invaded by aliens. They're gonna come get us, you know? They did not handle it well, so they decided to investigate this secretly. Now, a couple months later, a farmer in Roswell, New Mexico had one of these crash on his property. That's the world-famous Roswell crash. Everybody knows about it, and it's kind of what made Area 51 and that kind of stuff really famous. They say right above my head that there were 4 small human-like beings, and that they looked a lot like humans. They were badly decomposed due to, the ejection and action from predators, as well as the elements. They were out there a few weeks. They found the saucer, and then a few weeks later they found the bodies. But again, right above my head, it says they look human-like. They look like us. Now, while it says they look like us, it says that the inside of them, they obviously had a very different evolutionary cycle than we did. They're pretty sure they're from another solar system. Why do they look like humans? It words it in a way that you might not be able to tell the difference. Now, my grandpa was a CIA dude. We don't know what he did, we just know he worked there, and we found out after he died, but he did tell us that when his time in the government, he found out that aliens were real. They walk among us, and they've been here a long, long time, and they will be here for a long, long time. They're not gonna hurt us, but they've been here. And again, if he says they walk among us and we can't tell, matches the files pretty well. Now here's another thing that gets really interesting too is, like I've said before, these things have no propulsion anythings, no control surfaces, no steering wheel or key to turn in. There's not even controls. It's empty and sleek on the inside, which a lot of different whistleblowers have said. Now these files back that up heavily, and they're really confused because they can't find wiring, tubing, no vacuum tubes, no metal pipes, no electrical wires. It's just the saucer, and they don't know how it flies or why it flies, so they started Project Sign from the Air Force, which was made specifically to reverse engineer all of this and figure it out. Now, I don't think there's much left to learn from the files, except for it does say that in 1950 there was a similar UFO crash that they thought was very probable and had recovered some materials from right on the Texas-Mexico border. Now, I know nothing about that, but I know some of you probably do, so go make a video on it or tag me in info and I'll do one myself. Now, the only other credible thing we got from this document was that this UFO sighting right behind me was real. So do with that what you will. Now, here's where this is going to get interesting. I'm going to tie in documents of people's first-hand experiences with these craft. These are all from court documents. I don't know why this is public info, but it is, so I'm happy about it. Now, this is Robert Shirkley. In 1947, he was stationed at the Roswell Army Airfield, right near the Roswell crash. He was in the 509th Bomb Group and was told to get a B-29 ready as soon as possible, and it was going to Fort Worth, Texas. Now, 5 dudes were loading, wreckage and, metal shrapnel onto the plane, and he overheard them saying it was a UFO, like some kind of crash. Now, he was super, super interested in this, so his colonel's right next to him. He goes, "Yo, turn sideways, I want to look." Colonel turns sideways, and he sees long stainless steel looking, pipes and all messed up, broken stuff. And they had weird hieroglyphic-like markings on them. Now, they did their thing, they flew it where they were supposed to, they went back, and then everybody that was associated with this at all was transferred to another airbase. But here's the thing, no one got transferred together. Each person got sent somewhere else, so they could not collude, they couldn't talk about this. That is interesting. Now, this is where the story gets most of its meat. This is Glenn Dennis, and he was a mortician that had a contract with the airbase. Morticians pack up dead people. He did it for the airbase. Now, he got a call from the Army's mortician officer saying, hey, you know, what's the smallest hermetically sealed casket you guys have? And he's going, you know, most people aren't hermetically sealed. What are you storing? And the guy couldn't get an answer. They went back and forth for like 45 minutes. And then they started talking about, okay, how would you, like, you know, preserve a body as long as possible? And he's going, let me come see what you're dealing with so I can actually tell you. And the guy said, don't come anywhere near this place right now. So he said, freeze it in dry ice and, you know, do your best. Now, this guy was lucky enough to see some of the wreckage that was just sitting on the ground outside of the infirmary, but also unlucky enough to see some of the wreckage, and you'll see why soon. But he said as he went into the back door of the infirmary, there were several pieces that looked like the bottom of a canoe, you know, 3 or 4 feet in length, really mangled, stainless steel. They had Egyptian hieroglyphic-looking symbols on it, and a purple hue, which means the metals were exposed to extreme heat. You'll see some cars, their exhaust tips, back of their exhaust, are purple. People heat them up with a torch to make it look that way. They have to really go through some crazy heat cycling to get that look. So these things, whatever they were, got really, really hot. Now, he checks in.
Guys, that sounds right on point. This is an affidavit, you know? And I'm telling you guys, like, man, this story you can't make up. I mean, you could, but how he said that the metal was purple from it being torched, man, that lines up, doesn't it? Like, I'm starting to believe this might have happened.
In the airman goes to the staff lounge to have a Coke.
It'll change your reality.
And he finds a nurse that he's friends with. They're both about 23 years old. She comes out of the exam room with a rag over her mouth going, oh God, that smells so bad, you know. She tells him to get out of here as quick as possible or he's going to be in a lot of trouble. So he just leaves, and 2 MPs show up and say, hey, you know, we're taking you back to the funeral home. And he's kind of confused. He goes, I didn't do anything wrong. I can drive myself home. And they go, we're following you back. And he's like, all right. Now, these MP escort him like 10 or 15 feet when another captain says, you know, I'm not done with that son of a bitch. Bring him back over here. And this guy had mean eyes. You know, redhead dude, mean looking eyes, mean bugging him. And this guy's like, hey, don't tell anybody what you saw. And this guy says, I'm not a part of the military. You can't tell me what to do. And this guy says, if you say anything about this, people will find your bones in the sand and be digging them up. And this kind of shook the dude, so he just let the MPs drive him out of there and did not say anything at all. They also said, you know, he would make good dog food. Now, the next day he calls that nurse that he originally talked to that told him to get the hell out of there, and she says, I'm really upset, you need to come back to the officers club, I need to talk to you, but she gave him a sacred oath not to tell a soul, because she would get into a lot of trouble, and he agreed. This guy's kind of an idiot, but I can't lie, I would probably want to hear what she said too. Now, she went to get supplies in a room where 2 doctors were doing an autopsy. The doctors said to take notes during the procedure, and she said what she saw was the most gruesome thing in her life and also the worst smelling thing in her life. Now, you see, the nurse that told him this information died because of this. The next page is pictures of what she saw. Well, she drew these pictures. And she handed these off to the mortician in a very secretive manner, but see, someone knew that she did that. Because the next day after this happening, the mortician calls her back, and she's not at the base anymore. They said she got transferred away. It took him over 2 weeks to figure out what base she was at, or supposed to be at, and he started sending her letters, and months went by before a stack of letters got returned, and it just said, recipient is deceased. Now, her and 5 other nurses died on a plane that was headed towards that base. You know, it could be a coincidence, I don't know. Now, one thing she said was that there was 3 bodies, which lines up with the files we looked at earlier, 3.5 to 4 feet tall, which lines up with other FBI files we've looked at in previous videos, and she said this is not like anything the doctors had ever seen before. They had to turn off the AC and move things to an airplane hangar because they were afraid that the smell would permeate into the military hospital. And again, remember, she passed away after telling him this information and passing off this drawing. Now, here's where I start to have issues with this. While these stories and files all line up perfectly, you know, like puzzle pieces, the first files say these things look mistakably human-like. Like, you know, so much you might not mistake it. What's under me does not look human-like. It looks like, you know, kind of human. 2 eyes, 2 nose, 2 ears. But no one's going to mistake that for a human, so that leads you to a lot of questions. First one being, why can't these guys just be consistent in their files? Because I read all of these and you guys have so much fuck-ups in these. Second off, what is it? You know, how can they look human and then not look human? I don't understand this at all. And I think this is probably our most accurate info we have on this, and it's still kind of messed up. But I'm gonna trust the files that were briefing a president over, you know, a nurse's drawings. However, she died handing these drawings off, so you see my issue here. I can't really decide where to lie on this, but it's interesting nonetheless. I love you guys, and thank you.
And I'm looking at this, if we go back real quick, and we look at these drawings, don't these kind of resemble these things? You know, look, they got 4 digits. Are those 4 or 3? I can't tell. But those digits look very similar, guys. Look at the hands right here, and look at on here. So I don't know. You guys tell me. It looks like it might be 4 here. I'm not sure. But I couldn't tell you. And then they kind of resemble these things. And then they kind of resemble these things. So could this all be the same thing that they're tied into? You know, could this all be the same thing? Drop your thoughts below. I don't even know where this comes from. Oh, man.
You know that this man battled aliens is unprotected. That's Phil Schneider, who claimed to be an ex-government worker with top security clearance who worked on building deep underground military bases. There was apparently a dark secret behind these bases, and in 1995, Schneider began to give lectures and blow the lid on the clandestine presence of aliens on Earth who had a network of underground bases themselves. He asserted that the government knew this and had been working with them for decades in a kind of technology exchange. In the late 70s, he said he was working on building a secret base under the Archuleta Mesa in Dulce, New Mexico, when an altercation happened after he and his crew accidentally tunneled into an alien base. This encounter turned violent, leading to massive loss of life on both sides, as well as leaving Schneider severely wounded. A year after going public with his stories, Schneider unalived himself, though some suspected there was foul play involved as an attempt to silence him. Now, there's a lot more to this story, but what do you think? Let me know in the comments.
We're going to dive in a little bit more because it's in direct correlation with this whole underground base thing. So you better lock in and buckle up, bucko, because I'm not done with you.
I have a picture of one of the aliens been working for the United States Pentagon for the last 58 years. His name is Val Valiant Thor. He's right here. There's my father in the background. This whole place, the ready room of the USS Eldridge, Al Bielek has probably explained, or maybe even shown you this picture. There's a list of some of the notable people in it. They're all the atomic bomb scientists of the day, all the time variant experimentalists of the day, all the top physicists of that particular day. This was in August of 1943. Now this guy has not changed one iota in 58 years. Started work, he came here, crashed here or whatever, whether he's under duress or not. He started work for our U.S. Navy and military operations in 1937, either 37 or 38 is what I've been told. So it's for 58 years, this man's been employed, probably under duress. If you don't do as we say, we're just going to use you for alien bait or something, I don't know. But anyway, he basically hasn't changed. He lives for 490 years, is what he says his lifespan is. Now, he's supposedly a semi-benevolent, he's a human-looking type person. He has 6 fingers and 6 toes, and he's got one oversized heart, one lung, giant lung. His blood vessels are bigger. He's got copper oxide for blood, similar to an octopus. His brain capacity, 300 centimeters greater than ours. He has a thinking capacity, IQ, if you were to measure, it'd be totally off the scale, it'd be about a 1200 IQ. He speaks 100 languages fluently, alien as well as others. He's a remarkable person. I had a chance to meet him one time. There's another thing to mention, any outer space alien, regardless of who they are, how benevolent or how how evil they are. They're a biological hazard because we have no defense against their germs. Absolutely none. In fact, they can kill us just by being around. I developed something like jungle rot. I still got it on my feet and on my back, and because of the Dulce, New Mexico thing, I get free hospitalization for the rest of my life. In fact, I'm a good guinea pig, I guess. But theoretically, that's from being around inside that cave at that particular time. That's the first time I've told any of you people that, but that's basically what it's all about. Different time here, I think it's Bill, right? There's another thing to mention, any outer space down there, a human observer, or human observers in this case, to find out what was going on. When I saw Green Beret and Black Beret people encamped inside of our geologist camp, I knew something was up, the gig was up. In this process, I was lowered down the basket of one of these holes, and about from me to this elderly woman here in the front was sitting a 7-foot tall alien gray. The stench was worse than the worst garbage can you can imagine. I didn't waste any time. I reached for my pistol. At that time, as an engineer, I didn't have time to carry all the folder, all of one of these big submachine guns that all the sea spray and the yellow fruit and the outer perimeter and inner perimeter security people carried. I carried a little Walther PPK pistol with a 9-shot clip. Plus, you're in almost like a spacesuit environment, and you're reaching for a gun. It's not the easiest thing to do, and then to pop a clip in it and start shooting. And I killed 2 of them. Yes, they're mortal, and they do die. However, in the process, one of them did this. All I remember is that he just kind of waved his hand in front of his chest, and the next thing I know, this blue beam hit me and just literally opened me up like a fish. It was some form of electrical force, because the kind of like being hit by a lightning bolt burned all my toenails off of me. And there was a Green Beret that was right behind me, but he risked his life. He shoved me back in the basket and hit the button and took me up. And I wouldn't be alive talking to you today if it wasn't for him. I'm forever indebted. He lost his life. 66 Secret Service agents, Green Berets, Black Berets, crack troops lost their lives because the government, our United States government, lied, did not tell us anything about the alien threat. There's a war underneath there, and I'm talking dead serious. Now, I'm going to casually mention to you something that's very scary indeed, and tell you what the alien agenda is, and it's going to sound very familiar. The alien agenda is the complete takeover of this planet, the killing off of 5, 6 to 7/8 of the world's population by the year 2029. U.S. military has known about this for 45 years. They've told no one. As far as I know, I'm the only person standing before a crowd talking about the alien agenda, secretively.
What do you guys think about that? Historia Dulce base, the alien agenda? Man, it kind of goes in line with what we were talking about, where that underground base that we were looking at. Drop your thoughts below.
So I know everyone's seen this video. Everyone has seen this video. This is the Project Blue Book that was supposedly leaked during Project Blue Book back in the 60s. I think it was 66 that this video supposedly came out. And let me say something about this. I've watched it. I'm like, that fake stuff, I don't want to see it. And the more I watch it, the more I listen, the more I hear the message, the more it sounds just like supposed credible information that I've heard. And naturally, we know with AI running rapid, it would be easy to put this out and go, okay, look, everybody's going to automatically assume it's fake. But guess what, guys? And don't say it is, because it's not. It hasn't been debunked. It has not. There are sites like IMDb that say things, but it's opinionated. There's no proof to debunk this video. Absolutely none. I don't care what you say, there's not. So is it possible that this information was put out and they're like, hey, nobody's going to know anyway. It's kind of like the Skinny Bob videos, and I totally believe they're real. That everybody's going to say, oh, it's fake, because your trolls are going to troll every video, whether they think it's fake or not. And guys, I'm starting to believe that if it's not real, the message could possibly be real. Watch it. I've went in great depth with this today. I've watched it over and over, and I know some things that I've seen personally, and it's almost terrifying to hear this thing talk. It's so demonic, and I'm not saying that's a demon. I'm saying just the message alone. But it's also making a lot of sense. Check this out, then leave your comments.
So what are you doing here now? How about we concentrate on your time? What's the difference? So you know how the universe is created. So you think God. Okay, illuminate us. What happens when we die? Okay, so let me get this straight. There's no death, and we all experience each other's lives, right? Okay, so how was the universe created, and why is it so perfectly made for us? Okay, so why do we destroy ourselves with nuclear war? Can you be more specific, please? Okay, one last thing. What about morality? What do you base your morality on?
So I know everyone's seen this video.
Alright guys, just my personal opinion, I believe this entire thing was scripted. I don't think this is real at all. Like, if I had to say this is 100% fake, that's just my take on it. I believe that there's some real alien stuff out there, but this specific video and what he's saying, how his mouth's moving, it's just, I'm just getting real Hollywood fake vibes from it. That's just me. But if you guys have some more stuff you want to chime in about, drop it in the comments below. That was my first time seeing it, and this just is my initial reaction that this is 100% fake. Everything he's saying really doesn't really line up at all. So, yeah. And that's all I got for today's video. If you guys made it this far, be sure you drop alien in the comments below. That's the code word for this video. So it lets me know you're a real one and you made it all the way through this video. Code word is alien. As always, guys, I love you. We got some real interesting lives coming up. We're going to be digging off into Tartaria soon. But yeah. And yeah, tomorrow's Thanksgiving, so you know I got to dive in on the what really Thanksgiving is. So be expecting that video tomorrow. And yeah, guys, I love you as always, and I'm going to see you on the next one. Peace out. JetskiChucK signing out.